Shepherd's pie, super simple with chuck roast. So delicious, so good. And we're going to do something kind of tricky with those mashed potatoes. Trust the process, believe in yourself. Let's get to it. The first thing you want to do is turn your pot to medium high, and you can go ahead and add in a couple tablespoons of olive oil, enough to coat the bottom of the pan a little bit because you're going to sear the pot roast off or whatever meat you have. Just lay your meat down in the bottom, nice and hot. When that meat caramelizes, it'll pull away from the pan. So don't pull it too early or try to rip it apart. But once it caramelizes, it'll release itself from the pan. You just flip it over and then do all the edges. I don't salt and pepper this because we're going to have enough of that seasoning later. So there's no real need to do that in this point. So now you just sear your meat. I'm going to turn this on high to get this moving along. If you turn this on high, make sure that you stick around. Don't leave the pot. It doesn't take long for these things to go from seared to burned. Okay, I think it's time to turn this one over. Oh yeah, look at that. That's beautiful. You could even go a little darker, but this is fine. So do this for all of your meat. What the searing does is it caramelizes the meat and it will give you more flavor in the broth. Not a great deal, but a lot. It will give you more. The reason I don't season it is because we're going to add seasoning at the end, and that'll give us a better idea of where we're at. We don't want to add salt too early because then later on it might be over salted. You'll see why, because we reduce it down. Also, I don't use flour. A lot of people with flour. I'm not making a stew. I'm kind of, but you'll see again later why we don't need the flour or the seasoning in this. All right, this one's done. It's not done all the way through. It's just done searing. So put that aside. See if it needs a little more oil. I think it's good right now. So let's start with the second one. Fill up your pot depending on how much broth you need. Just a couple inches, because you know that pot roast is going to be at least 1 inch and thick. So a couple inches of liquid. Put in your garlic, put in your rosemary, put in your powdered onion, your bay leaf, and your thyme. Here's one of the tips I told you why you don't want to add salt early. It's because I like the taste of Weiler's bouillon. I grew up with it. There's might be better ways to get beef flavor in here, but I'm all about adding layers. This is where most of your sodium is going to come from. We'll add a little bit of salt to taste later, but this is where most of your sodium is coming from. So just give that a good stir, and then you're going to add in your pot roast. You can stack them right on top of one another. That's perfectly fine. Like I said, then you want to add enough broth to cover it. That should be fine because it's floating a little bit right now. So that was actually about 10 cups in the 7-quart Dutch oven. You're just simply going to cover it and put it in your preheated oven for 2 hours. Okay, now we want to take it out. Let it sit here. Don't open it. Don't mess with it. Let it sit here till it gets to a room temperature or a more manageable temperature. It could take a few hours, so you want to definitely get this done earlier in the day or whatever. Okay, so the pot roast is cooled to room temperature. I've already defatted it. You can see it here. I'm going to bring it over to you. But as you can tell, I want to hold up a little bit of this. It falls apart from the fat, but it's not really super crazy falling apart from the meat. And that's what I want. I want something with a little bit of texture to it. That's why I went 2 hours instead of 3. And you can see it's still holding up. I mean, I can push it apart, but I want it to be firm. That'll give me a better texture in the shepherd's pie. Now you can shred it if you like. It makes it easier. That's fine, shred it. But for us, we like it in the little cubes. So that's just how we do it. Okay, so I'll pull out the first one, give it a nice drain, because it's going to get a little wet. This is the time you want to get rid of the fat. You didn't want to get rid of it at first. I should have mentioned that. So if you're watching this video for the first time, you want to keep the fat in your pot roast, skim it off when it's done, and then you can play around with it when it's done like this. It'll help render the fat, give it a lot of flavor, because you do not want fat in your pot roast. It's just off-putting. Now I cooked 2 whole pot roasts. It was about 6 pounds. It's probably about, I don't know, 2 pounds more than I wanted. So I'll save the rest for either omelets or anything else we do. But honestly, about 4 pounds in a 14-inch skillet is more than enough. All right, we're gonna dice these up. What I like doing is it helps with a sharp knife. You see how it's not totally pull apart, but I can still pull that apart if I want to. That's exactly what I'm looking for. I don't want this to cook anymore or get any softer. So that's what you're looking for. About a 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch square, bite size. And again, it's gonna be super tender when it's done, so you don't have to worry about being too tough or too big. Just start the shepherd's pie. We're gonna start with a roux, which you have seen in my breakfast videos, you've seen in my Marry Me Chicken, you've seen in all kinds of stuff. Easy stuff. Remember my ratio, 2 tablespoons flour, 2 tablespoons fat to 1 cup of milk. But we're gonna use broth instead of milk. For a 14-inch skillet, I need 1 stick of butter, which is 8 tablespoons. We're gonna melt that down. I like the butter to get a little brown, so I'm gonna let it foam up a tiny bit. It just adds a little more depth to the gravy. So we'll start adding our flour. When you measure this for 8 tablespoons, you might do heaping tablespoons, so you might have too much. So just do a little at a time, about half, and then work from there. So it looked like I used about 7 tablespoons on that. So we're gonna start pouring in a little bit. until it cools off the pan a bit. Then you can blend it in and just keep stirring. Like I always say, that's the #1 rule with gravy. Never stop stirring. I've already defatted the broth as well, so that's getting a little thick, so that's fine. We'll add a little more. We'll just add the rest of it. That's 4 cups. I'm gonna turn this down to medium, switch from a whisk to any type of wooden spoon will do. This is fine. We're gonna add in our peas and carrots. That's a 12-ounce bag. I would argue that that's probably perfect for a 9x13, but if you like a lot of vegetables, put more in. Now, when you put the vegetables in, what you're gonna see is your gravy's gonna thicken up real hard because it's gotten cold. That's okay, because we're just gonna heat it right back up and it'll thin right back out. So don't freak out when this thing starts to seize up on you, because it will. We gotta cook these peas and carrots a little bit just to get them warmed up. Okay, it's perfect. It doesn't have to be heated through, it just has to not be frozen. You don't have to get the gravy back up to boiling. Remember, this is all going in the oven, so this is all gonna get reheated once again. Now we're just gonna take our meat, and you can turn off the heat at this point and just fold it in. You don't wanna break it up. I mean, unless you want it broken up, but we don't like it that way, so I'm just gonna fold it in. I mean, it's beautiful, looks perfect. Looks like something you'd put on your plate right now and eat as stew. So let's get this smushed down, get it nice and level. And another good thing about this dish is you can leave this now. You can walk away from it for now. We gotta do the mashed potatoes, so this can just sit and it'll be perfectly good the way it is. It won't hurt anything. You can have your mashed potatoes done early, that's fine too. Let's get to them potatoes. Okay, we're gonna start with a 5-pound bag of potatoes. I'm using a 14-inch cast iron skillet. That's a very large skillet. In the recipe, there won't be this many potatoes, but I'm using a 5-pound bag, so you can adjust based on the size of your container. I would say, honestly, 3 to 4 pounds is more than enough for 9x13. What we're gonna do today is we are not gonna boil these potatoes for our mashed potatoes. We're gonna do something I learned a few months ago that works amazing. We're gonna take these potatoes, we're gonna microwave them. And you're gonna think, oh, that's crazy. Why would we microwave potatoes? That doesn't make any sense. I'm not gonna introduce any more moisture into these potatoes than I have to, and boiling them introduces moisture. Yes, you can let them sit, you can let them dry out a little bit. That takes forever. Why don't you just microwave them? It'll dry the potatoes out in the microwave a little bit, and then the butter and the cream will get absorbed into the potatoes. It is amazing. It is so much better than boiling potatoes, and it's a lot easier. But you wanna do it with potatoes you can eat the skin on, which is the reds or the yellow golden potatoes. You don't want to use russets for this because you're gonna have to peel them anyway, and that's just a mess. So red potatoes are work for us. We're gonna microwave them. You'll see. Let's get started. I want to wash these, and then we're gonna just fork them and put them in whole. Just put some holes in it like you would if you're microwaving a baked potato. Throw them in the microwave on high until they are soft. It's gonna take a little bit, probably 10-15 minutes for this many potatoes, but it's worth it. Okay, so the potatoes are out of the microwave. They're still kind of hot, which is perfect. So we're gonna get these a little, you can see how much it dried out. I cut this bad part off. Again, these are just microwaved and they are pushing real fine, still letting off moisture. Let's get these smashed up. For every pound of potatoes, you need 2 tablespoons to 3 tablespoons of butter. So we have 5, so I'm gonna put 12. That's kind of in between 10 and between 15, which the math would equal out to, I think. Get those started. While those are down there melting, put in a couple tablespoons of garlic powder. This is absolutely 100% seasoned with your heart. A couple tablespoons of chives. You can salt the heck out of potatoes. A couple tablespoons for this many potatoes. And pepper to taste. And then just elbow grease. We'll add in, right, that's about a 1/4 cup of whipping cream. We don't want to add too much. Now these mashed potatoes should be a little thick. You don't want them whipped and kind of thin because you want them to have some body on top of the dish. That's a good texture for these potatoes. Okay, the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna slice up some Velveeta. Now, a lot of you guys don't like this stuff. I get it. We grew up with it on our shepherd's pie. A lot of people put cheese on top. You can put the regular cheese, but once that stuff cools, it gets hard as a rock. Velveeta or American slices do not do that. There's a reason they make this stuff. You might not like it if you're foreign, but in America here, a lot of people love this stuff. Anywho, and yes, you can use it more than just a dip on Super Bowl. We're gonna slice this up. So we're gonna use about 2/3 of it, I think, and that's just a ballpark estimation. And just gonna make the same slices. That's the normal thickness of the cheese slicer, which is about a 1/4 inch, it looks like. So let me get through about 2/3 of this. If we need more, we can slice it up later. That'll do for now. All right, I have never had patience for putting the mashed potatoes on top there. If you watched our chicken pot pie video, same with the biscuit top, I just don't have that level of patience. However, my wife, my beautiful wife, Trina, does. So she gets drafted into doing this every time. Okay, this is done. Now we're gonna put that Velveeta on. Babe, can you help me? In your oven on the rack below this one, you wanna put this in the middle or center rack. On the rack below it, you're gonna wanna put another pan, like a sheet pan. This could overflow these edges. and it does often for us. And in case I make a little too much gravy or I add a little extra meat, you know, more than normal. Okay, so in the oven, 350 until the Velveeta gets golden. This other stuff is already cooked. So you're just really wanting this Velveeta to melt and get out everywhere and to reheat the gravy. I say about 20-25 minutes. Okay, you saw the shepherd's pie, you saw the results. It's amazing. Let's see what Trina thinks. I know what she thinks, but you see what Trina thinks. Babe, come on. Yeah, come over.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, there you go.
Yes, I love the shepherd's pie.
Yeah, now we put Velveeta on the top. You saw that.
Yes.
A lot of people don't like Velveeta.
Very
It
cheesy.
works for this. A lot of people put cheese in their shepherd's pie. We do. I grew up with Velveeta. She did not, but I have converted her. We don't eat Velveeta for anything else. It's just for this. And frankly, it's amazing.
And he puts chuck roast in it instead of burger. I really prefer the chuck roast instead of
But
burger.
for prices now, if you use burger,
That is
we
perfectly
get
fine.
it.
Yes.
Yeah, we get it. The potatoes, the microwave potatoes, crazy texture change. It is different, and it's so easy. You don't have to cut them up,
You have
peel
to
them.
boil water.
No,
Yeah.
it really is a game changer. Try to find a recipe for microwave mashed potatoes. I'm telling you, you'll never boil them again ever, and it's a lot easier because nobody uses a microwave on Thanksgiving. You can knock that out. Anyway, it's delicious. Trust the process. Believe in yourself. If not, we'll believe in you. See you later.
Have a great day.